good evening, everyone. Welcome yet again to our African Experience Show with myself, Miss Aventina MABUNDA. And today, as I welcome back my co-host, Dr. HLAMI, who wasn't with us for the past show, she will tell us where she was. And on that note, Dr. HLAMI, please greet our listeners before I introduce our beautiful guest.
Thank you so much, Aventina. I actually missed our listeners last week because I was traveling. The whole of last week I was in Austria, and I was very busy. I missed out, on the show. And this week, guess what? I'm actually joining you from Germany. So these past 2 weeks, I'm really, really on the move, on the go. I've been, touring, Europe for, some work experiences, but now I did, I can't say it's a short left, but maybe it's a long left to Germany to really, visit, some family and children and all that. But I'm very excited to be joining you again. You can see I'm very, very warm because it's a little bit, cool in Germany. But today I think I brought some sunshine from Africa. I'm very, very excited, to be with you today and our beautiful, beautiful listeners. Today we have very, very exciting, guest that will be exploring with you. Mandla, I can't wait, to be back
Yeah.
home, next week to explore, some African experience. Yeah.
Yes,
Hmm.
it's so beautiful talking about diversity and the African experience. Last week was Austria, today is Germany. And guess what? To our listeners out there, today we are bringing you none other than Miss Duminga Ndala, all the way from Namibia. So we are exploring Namibia and we are trying to understand the human rights perspective. We are trying to understand Namibia as a tourist destination. We are trying to understand the culture and everything that makes Namibia as it is a beautiful country with one of the highest dunes in the world. So without further ado, I'd like our beautiful host to introduce herself to our listeners.
Good evening, Sis Mankla. Good evening, Doctor. It's a pleasure being here, and good evening to the viewers. My name is Duminga Ndala. I'm the leader of the LPM Youth Command Element. I'm a parliamentary researcher, and most importantly, I am an African child, proudly African, and yeah, I'm so excited to be on this show tonight.
Wow, wow, wow. I always get inspired, Doc, when I talk to young people. They are involved in positions that were, traditionally reserved for the elderly. She's in parliament, she's in politics. It will be so exciting to hear more about that. But
Hmm.
Doc, what do you think about that?
No, I'm actually very excited, and I want her to, Dominga. I want you to, as we engage with you, I want you to unpack,
Yes.
because you spoke about, some abbreviation, LM something something. You want you to unpack that, and you spoke about, a parliament and research, and I'm like, oh, I'm just thinking, okay, you can get into parliament through the research pathway, and this is something that we'll also be unpacking. But maybe for me, you say Duminga. I'm always fascinated with names. What is the meaning of the word of the name Duminga? Does it have a meaning?
Yes, it does. Dominga means Sunday in Portuguese. So my father is of Angolan origin and
Okay.
my mother is from Namibia. And the most interesting part is my mom's dad is also from Angola. I'm basically 75% Angolan and 25% Namibian, but I'm actually born in Namibia. So I'm 75% Angolan descent. It's very, very interesting. And people always say, but Dominga, you're Angolan, not Namibia, but I say, my orientation was Namibia, and I grew up in Bambo culture. Interesting fact is my dad was a pastor, obviously, and my grandfather also, and he's late too. He was a bishop, so I'm basically a pastor's kid. So my
Oh,
mom had to take over church, so she's now Mama Mfundisi, say it in South Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah. So being in politics, basically, for the Landless People's Movement, so a political party. We officially registered in 2019 as a political party, and we contested in the presidential as well as national elections, and we managed to garner 4 seats. And then the next year, it was the local as well as regional elections where we managed to scoop 2 regions, 6 seats in council. So we are fairly a young party, but we are growing in numbers, and we have become a Namibia. Did because a lot of people actually resonate with our message, and that is of land dispossession and as well as the migrations of people in Namibia. Working as a parliamentary researcher, I think it's the most exciting thing ever. I mean, growing up as a child, first we would see these ministers and so forth on TV, but now we actually walk in the same corridor. So my first year, I was like, oh my goodness, is this real? But as time went by, I actually realized that I was meant to be here, and that was basically my purpose in life, to actually make a difference. I remember growing up, I never understood why I would always speak on behalf of others. But basically, that was my political spirit that was actually talking. Even at university, I would always represent my fellow students. I would always speak against injustice. So basically, my political career starts from that. And if we have to go back to primary school, I was the head girl of my primary school. So I think leadership per se comes from my family. Like I explained earlier, that my dad was a pastor, my grandfather was a bishop. So although they were not per se in the political space, but there were leaders in the other sphere of life. So I'm coming from a family of leaders, hence it was really, really easy for me to be in politics and to maneuver in politics. One interesting fact is when I went to university, I actually registered for media studies. So I registered for 1 week. I attended class and I was like, no, this is not it. This is basically not me. So I deregistered, and then I registered for political science. My mom didn't know that. I told her a week after. She was like, why? Politics is dirty. I'm like, no, I feel like I'm comfortable in this field. And I've always wanted to influence making. I've always wanted to represent people. I've always wanted to actually make a change in life. I said I'm going to go with politics. So I managed to graduate with an upper second,
Wow.
a bachelor's honors degree, major in political science and international relations, and currently I'm my bachelor's of laws. And laws is
Oh,
intertwined,
oh
so it's
my
one.
goodness.
Yes, that, apart from that,
Wow.
I also have a diploma in government studies. So I'm in the next hope 3 years or 5 years for sir, I'll be called Dr. Duminga Ndala.
Wow.
Yeah,
Welcome.
so basically
Welcome.
that's it.
Yeah, we'll be waiting for
Thank
you. We'll be
you.
welcoming you yeah, on the stage. No, thank you so much. This is
Yes.
very, very interesting. I mean, to hear a young person really being so articulate and very passionate, I can sense the passion. But you know
Yes.
what? What I'm interested in, it's when you share a little bit about your origin and your roots. It actually makes me realize that I'm a South African. Both my parents originated from Mozambique. So I have, if I were to talk about my roots, I would say my roots are actually in Mozambique. And we have some similarities there because I'm also
Oh,
a pastor's kid. My father was a priest.
nice.
But
Welcome to the club.
yes, yes, exactly. But it just makes me realize, and this is what this African experience is all about. Sometimes we find ourselves in a certain country, but when you unpack the layers, you realize that actually we are nomads. People come from Namibia, Angola. Some people might be coming from other regions and all that. And hence, in this show, we talk about the African experience because we want to embrace that. We want to embrace our African, Africanness. And I liked it when you say, I'm
Yes,
proudly, proudly African. Mandla, what do you
yes.
think? Hmm.
Wow. You know what? The passion is just tangible from these three countries. I'm sitting in KZN, she is Namibia, you're in Germany, but it feels like we're in the same room because the passion is just too much.
Exactly.
Dominga is so passionate about what she does and her course, and I like that. And zoning in on that as
Yeah. Okay, I can actually see some of the listeners are saying good evening, family. I can see Chriswell Baloyi. We can see you. Thank you so much for joining in. I see also Stone or Tone One, but good evening. Thank you so much, blessed family. I also see it's Riri. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining. We are exploring Namibia today with our beautiful,
Yes.
beautiful guest. Hmm. Okay. So, I know some of the people that might be listening might not know where Namibia is. If you were to describe where Namibia is for somebody who has no clue about it, how would you describe it? Where is it located?
Well, Namibia is located in the southern part of Africa. I think it's just below South Africa. We are, I think, during colonialism, we were part of your fifth province, ninth province. So obviously, after 1990, we became a sovereign country. In we became Namibia. So it's part of the southern part of Africa. Very very hot country with a very humid country. We have a lot of deserts. I think a lot of people make fun of us that are there even people in Namibia because we are just a
Mhm,
population of 2.6 million people. We are very relatively small. I think we are as to in South Africa.
mhm,
Namibia has a lot of friendly people. A lot of might say we are one of the most friendliest Africans
hmm,
on the continent, if I have to say that. We are home to everybody. All African nationals are actually welcome in Namibia. I think we love Africans and we love hosting Africans. And yeah, we have one of the highest Junes in the country. That is June
hmm,
7. That is
hmm,
the most attractive thing about Namibia because of that June 7, we have attracted quite a lot of celebrities, especially from
hmm,
America. I think Gabriela Union was here with a family.
mhm,
Last year, we had Jose Mourinho, the coach of Manchester United, and the likes.
hmm,
So Namibia is a very small country, very hot country with a lot of rocks. People make fun of us, but we're very friendly people, and we
mhm.
love Africans. We There are 13 languages that are spoken in Namibia,
Okay.
but our official language, yeah, our official language is obviously English, and
Mhm,
but we have Afrikaans. A lot of people say it's perhaps an a colonizer language, but Afrikaans happen to be the most spoken language in Namibia.
mhm,
Um, I think everybody on the street speaks fluent Afrikaans. I remember last month when I was in Joburg, and I went to a hospital, so I was speaking Afrikaans. So there were some ladies saying, "Oh my goodness, you speak so well Afrikaans. Are you from South Africa?" I'm like, "No, I'm from Namibia." And they say, "To no wonder." So I was just wondering, what do they mean by that? What do they mean by that? And
yeah.
I didn't have Afrikaans at school. I actually had Deutsch, but I know nothing about Deutsch. I think I just did it to pass because parents are like, okay, you have to do this. Obviously,
Uh, uh, okay, that is very beautiful.
uh, Namibia is a very interesting to actually invite Namibia.
Okay. Wow, that is so, so, so beautiful. You know what? We want to learn more about Namibia, but we're going to take a short break. But don't go away. We can see you. And when we come back, I can see someone say, I visited Namibia last year on MSC cruise. Oh, and they really, really enjoyed it. But we'll be taking, your messages as you are sharing. And when we come back, we want to explore more about, Namibia and the desert and many other beautiful things that you have there in your country. We're
Yes.
gonna take a commercial break shortly, so don't move away. Welcome back. Mandla, you heard about some of the exciting things around Namibia. What is your thought?
Oh my goodness, you know what? Duminga's passion is really, really inspiring me to go to Namibia again. You know, she is so passionate about her country. And one of her passions, I know, is youth and politics. So now, and I know is one of her, you know, she lives to do that. She believes she's been called to lead the youth into some sort of victory. Now, my sister, Duminga, tell me, stats show that, you know what, to keep the youth interested in politics, you need to involve them in some part of leadership of some sort within the political space. Now, but it's difficult to sustain their interest within that, or they after that they quickly fall off the radar of politics. Now, being in that space yourself, what do you think we need to do to sustain the interest? Because these are the future leaders of our countries. I'm talking Africa in overall. So, what do you think should happen to keep the youth interested in politics?
That's a very broad question. I think number one, obviously, like you have alluded, is to sort of give them political position. I think they should be in a position where they can really influence decision, where they can really take decision and make it their own decision. I think as young people, we are always keen into occupying positions of power because then we are able to really showcase, we are able to showcase our abilities, and that way we're part of an organization or yeah, a political party. Saying obviously how to sustain them, sort of to conscientize the mind. A lot of young people are really not interested in politics before, like politics does not affect their daily life. The bad news is a lie because politicians decide who gets politics. So obviously, it's to sort of inculcate politics people, so really, really feel and they are really interested. And then the last is to serve their interest. Politicians tend to not have the interest of young people. They do not speak the realities of young people, fire young people, or they speak the inspiration of people. So young people are interested. We need to realities, and we need to them um, processes and um, so I think those are the main three key things. And then the other thing, obviously, like I said, just give us opportunity, man. And again, I've been hearing that young people are the future, but we are not really given that opportunity to really prove ourselves. So I think we should be taken serious and we should be offered those opportunities, so that we prove ourselves and we really
Mm,
showcase our capabilities as young leaders and as young people on the continent.
mm.
Wow.
Ma-
Dr. Hlami, what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I'm actually very excited about, what she's saying. But maybe for me to add, you're talking about young people, but you are also a woman. So I could also bring the gender aspect because I know that in Namibia, you are led by a woman. Is that true? So it's not.
Uh, the no the president the current president is not a woman.
Okay.
It's yeah, it's Dr. Hage Geingob is a male.
Mm-hmm,
um but obviously the vice president from the governing party is a woman.
mm-hmm,
She's also going to be one of the presidential candidates next year.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So if she wins, she's going to be the first female president in
I
Namibia.
see. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but obviously there's a dynamic of our party.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
we are confident that we'll win the presidency. I mean, we are a government in waiting.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm
No.
yeah,
No,
waiting. I
that, that,
know.
that that's very interesting, and we don't want to go
yes.
go very deep into politics and all that. But I'm just when I listen to you, I just feel so excited. I feel like I can listen to you again and again and again. We can actually go on. Okay, so the other thing that I'm actually very interested in, it's we know in your introductory statement you spoke about Namibia having a desert and all that, and I know that in the world you are the second, less dense, populated country, but also you have a desert that is the oldest in the world. And when I was doing a
Yes.
little bit of my research, they say it could be 55 million years. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that desert? Because I think it's something very special. Mm,
That desert that you're referring to is called the Namib Desert. I think is the oldest. It's a coastal. The interesting part about that, it doesn't rain. It doesn't receive any rain at all. So Namib is actually a Khoikhoi Kobab name, which means a vast place. Khoikhoi is one of the
mhm,
languages that are spoken in Namibia, and I think similar to Khoikhoi. So yeah,
mhm,
the Namib Desert is the oldest. I think it's a very beautiful place. One of our tourist attraction. I think I see that Mr. Chris Wall is asking what are the tourist attractions in Namibia. I think the Namib
mhm,
Desert is one of them. It will really it's gravel road when you get there, but it can be hot, very hot, and there are no snakes in that desert, so we are safe. We are safe. Yeah, so it's on the coastal there, it's on the coastal line. The interesting part about
mhm,
that desert is as you go further on the other side of the desert, you will actually
mhm,
find the sea. So in
mhm,
Namibia, the Namib Desert and the sea meets at one, and
mhm,
I think that is where we call the pink sea. The
mhm,
where the desert and the sea meets, it's pink. So it's a very, very beautiful place, a very, very beautiful thing to look
mhm.
at, very therapeutic. So I'm encouraging all Africans to actually Google about it and go
Yeah.
check it out. So Sister, we are waiting for you guys to experience that.
Yes. Okay.
Awesome, awesome. That is so beautiful. I think, Doc, we need to
Mm,
go there. We need to go there. I went there last year and it was beautiful. Although it was work related, we didn't have a lot of time to spare and go and see the site attractions. But you know what? I'm
mm,
taking note of all the beautiful things, and then next time, watch the space. We'll be going to see all the dunes and the pinks, the sea, and all those kind of things. So
mm,
tell me something. Going back to your passion again, a person your age, interested in politics. What drew you to politics? What people your age are dreaming of being influencers these days. They're bringing all sorts of things to their parents, surprised as to what kind of career is this, and you just went and decided, I want to be a politician. What inspired you?
What inspired me, I think, is surrounding, like, I'm coming from a family of leaders. So obviously that inspired me to be in some sort of leadership position or leadership. Politics, um, I think what drew, obviously, number one is the material conditions of people being my surrounding people. They not living to proper conditions. But obviously that drew me advocate of social justice. If I'm an advocate of people, then I should perhaps take this, able to echo their struggles, so that I'm able to advocate their struggles more. And obviously advocating their struggles, obviously through politics or and activists, because that obviously gives you a platform to really advocate their struggle further, and it's a formalized platform. But I think apart from that, like I said, I've always wanted to be in a position of where I speak on behalf of people. I really, my boss, they always say that when you look at Duminga, she's quite a very quiet person. I'm very shy. A lot of people don't know that or don't believe that about me. But when you give me a platform to actually speak and to engage people, you would really see my passion. You would really see that my inner self really comes out. So I'm like, okay, if perhaps politics brings the best out of me, why don't I perhaps try this this career? But obviously, yeah, role models, obviously within my surroundings, we look at the likes of Michelle Obama, we look at the likes of Prime Minister Sarah Kongelo. I think these are people that we have been looking that we grew up looking at, and then obviously you sort of draw some inspiration from them, not entirely obviously, but sort of some inspiration from them, and you sort of envision yourself that perhaps I should also take this direction, so that I'm really able to engage and to do what I really love and I'm passionate about, and that what actually drew me to politics. Yes, in a nutshell.
Wow, that is so interesting. Doc, what
Mm,
this lady right here has done
mm,
in her work life is that she also proposal for the elimination of experience requirements. When you apply for a job and they say
mm.
we want 5 years, she wrote a position paper saying, no, we should do away with that. And I'm interested in that. Why wouldn't you want someone with experience to come and work for you?
I'm a firm believer, especially within government institutions, that learn on the job. Nobody experience. As you all know, I think we are facing a very high unemployment rate, especially on the African continent. South Africa is facing the same
We
situation.
take the
Namibia
lead.
too, and all
Mm,
other African countries.
mm,
I say, why do we then need experience if we're facing a lot of unemployment rate in the country? Perhaps we should remove experience for those that are seeking entry level jobs, especially in government institutions, and that we really be able to take up institution and they can prove themselves. So that was our call, and obviously government has listened to that call, and we are hoping it will be fully implemented. Obviously, a lot of young people responded positively, and they said there is actually the truth. As long as you have a qualification, especially for entry level jobs, I don't think you need experience. You don't need experience if you are applying for an administrative job. You can learn on the job. That's why jobs should actually introduce job training on the job, so that our people are trained and are empowered through this various initiatives. And obviously, not only that, that will also be one of the ways that we can curb the high unemployment rate that we are facing in the country or on the continent. Because I mean, you have no countries, they tend to go to South Africa because you have a very very big, and obviously you have greater opportunities compared to or other African countries, especially within the SADC countries. Now, as other African young people go to South Africa, there is sort of that tension with young people in South Africa, echoing that their job opportunities are being taken by foreign nationals, and that obviously brings in a lot of issues such as xenophobia and so forth. And that is what we are actually trying to avoid. And our call is that we are all African brothers. We do not need to kill each other. We do not need to mistreat each other, but let us sort of forge heads together and come up with possible initiatives, come up with possible solutions that will really transform the African continent, because we are very lovely and beautiful people. And if we stand in unity together, we can become a very good, yeah.
Ooh, that is really, really a mouthful. I just, I'm trying to imagine, because when I started working back then, somebody gave me a chance and I didn't have an experience and I learned on the job, as you are
Yeah.
saying. Yeah, so I really agree with you, especially for the entry level, a position. Okay, so we're going to take another commercial break. When we come back, I would like us to explore the people, the culture, the food, the music, those kind of things that if I want to come to Namibia, entice me. What is it that I'm going to find and all that? And we'll also talk a little bit about more on the touristic tourism attractions, because Chriswell Baloyi want to know about that. And Mrs. Mahopam has been in Namibia through a cruise, but they also visited the salt mining. So we'd like us to explore those elements after the commercial break. Stay tuned.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is.
Streaming 24/7.
24/7.
Bold Moves Radio.
Bold Moves Radio.
Afrika nakupenda sana. Oh, Afrika nakupenda sana.
Wow, welcome back to the African Experience with myself, Miss Mandla Aventina Mabunda, and my beautiful co-host, Dr. HLAMI. And today we are talking to one amazing young woman by the name of Duminga Ndala, all the way from Namibia. We are talking about a political leader of note who's passionate about her role as a parliamentary researcher for the Namibian parliament and also as a youth leader for her party, the LPM party. Now, let's now soften the talk a bit, Duminga. We've been talking
Yes.
serious stuff about politics. Let's now explore Namibia as a country. We have Mr. Baloyi here who wants to know what are some of the tourist attractions in Namibia. I know our celebrities here in South Africa, everyone, you will see them riding a scooter of some sort in some desert and the dunes and all those kind of things. What else can someone look forward to seeing when they go to Namibia?
Okay, so I think one of the other most famous tourist attraction in Namibia is the source of Flay, that is based in the southern Namibia. We have a lot of lodges there. You are out in the open where you'll see animals walking around, obviously, but you're protected, so don't be worried. And it's a very, very beautiful scene. Another thing is the skeleton coast in the western country. It's quite close to the Namib Desert. And the other interesting thing, River Canyon, I think we have one of the largest fish river canyon in Africa, the world. There is also one of the most attractive. We have quite a lot of visitors, especially from tourists, especially from Europe. We frequent. It's an unfortunate being there. It's obviously on my bucket list. My bucket list. And then the other thing is Victoria Falls. So there is this, yes, there's it's bordering Zambia as well as Zimbabwe. So the Victoria Falls is we have quite one. It's based in the northern eastern part of the country. Very, very, very beautiful falls. And obviously, like Sis Masha was saying, the famous 1-7, where you find a lot of celebrities in South Africa actually going on a quite bike. I was fortunate enough to go on a quite bike. It's very beautiful. As you're on the quite bike, you would see the landscape and the design of the dunes. It's very, very beautiful. But obviously, if you can't drive and if you're not careful, you're going to fall off that quite bike. But we have a lot of places, and I hope our listeners and our viewers are going to Google these places so that they really come and check out Namibia. Yes.
Yes, I'm actually looking at that. I was also Googling a bit because when we are profiling different countries, my passion and what I'm very much interested in, it's what is actually declared, as national heritage sites. I'm actually surprised, that Namibia, you have, I mean, what I'm getting here is that you have about, 119 sites, that are actually declared as, national heritage sites. Wow, that it's really, really something for people to look out for when they visit Namibia. And I want to encourage, our listeners out there, when you go to a country, at least Google and go and see what is actually declared as a national heritage site, because this talks about the preservation of culture, preservation of it could be beautiful stuff that that country has to offer. I must admit that I've traveled quite extensively, but sadly, Namibia is one of the countries that I have never been to. And Mandla, I really, really, really take your invitation. I think we need to visit Namibia, and we'll also,
Yes, you should.
experience these. Definitely, we have to actually do that, huh?
Yes,
Ooh.
we have to
Yes.
definitely go there. And now we have the host family, the Ndalas. They're beautiful people. I told you they bake the
Yay.
most delicious cakes. Mamfundisi is quite a baker, so we'll have a great time. I'm sure of that. But anyway, back
Indeed.
to you, Miss Ndala. Miss Ndala, tell me, what do you do? You
Mhm.
have such an extensive job. How do you relax?
I think there's a place in Ventu called Weinberg. So that is where I unwind. On a Friday, I'm still a young person, I still have that young element in me. So on a Friday with my friends, you'd find us there unwinding. Apart from that, I think we would travel, like go to Swakopmund. That is where you find the sea. Unfortunately, in Windhoek, we don't have the sea. That's why it's very, very cold. But in Swakopmund, you'd find the sea there and the quiet bikes, like I've alluded earlier on. So that is how I unwind. Apart from that, I'm part of a church choir. I think that is also how I unwind. I'm quite a singer. I'm not the best singer in the world, or or that you would find, but I actually try. And yeah, but and obviously, I think most of the times I hang out with my colleagues because I feel like I'm very safe in that space. So we'd have our social outings, and we'll have the best times of our life because we're still young. We still have to keep that young element for us to attract young people to our movement.
Okay. That is beautiful. The issue of singing, I think that is the I don't want to say the challenge, or maybe that is the beauty of being a pastor's kid, because you start singing when you are still in your mother's tummy, right? uh,
Exactly, and you are forced to join the
you are
church
forced to
worship
join that.
team. You have no
Yes,
choice. You
you have
have
no
to attend.
choice.
Yes.
Exactly. And I same here, you when when I'm angry, I sing. When I'm happy, I sing, so I singing it becomes, part of our DNA. Okay, but I still want us to touch a little bit, about the people in Namibia, the different cultures. And I know in your introduction you spoke a little bit about the languages and all that. Just unpack a little bit about the people, the different, ethnic groups and the languages and, the food and the music. Maybe let's start. Oh, okay. Oh, that is a
Yes.
beautiful, beautiful outfit that we are wearing there. Maybe you can start with that and then unpack it further. Hmm.
Okay. Well, outfit or my headscarf came because I had a head intended to be
No,
headscarf.
no, there is
But
a
obviously
picture.
I had to improvise because I was gonna have to appear on the show.
No, there is a picture that I'm
Oh,
seeing here.
I'll
Mm-hmm.
yes, that's culture. That's the Ndala. It's the
Mm-hmm.
Awambo culture traditional wear. Yes, that one. The
Mm-hmm.
part about this is it has a historical context to it. So when the missionaries came to Namibia, they resided in the northern part of our country. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously, the Awambo culture, because we are all Africans, we would wear skin materials and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
they decided that that was some sort of paganism, and then they decided to give us this materials to wear because our women and men were not covered. They would just wear material made out of skin, or they would not wear anything. So
Mm-hmm.
they gave us this. This originated from Finland, and the weirdest part about this is this is actually a uniform. It was uniform meant for mentally ill people. So they actually gave this to our Wambo people. Yes, and we adopted this as our traditional wear. So it's called the Ondelela skirt and the top. So it's mainly worn during festivities such as your weddings,
Mm-hmm.
childbirth, and so forth. And that's the Ondelela dress.
Mm-hmm.
I think each and every Awambo girl should own that. And I think here I just modernize it a bit. I'm supposed to have a headscarf.
Mm-hmm.
Grandmother, I have to see this picture. She's definitely going to reprimand reprimand me, but I had to bring that young element to it.
Yes.
I had to bring that young element to it. And yes,
Wow.
yes. So in the Namibian in Namibia, like I said, we have 13 languages, and we have the Awambo people, we have the Ovahero people. So Ovahero people, traditional wear is inspired by the Germans. So the Germans would actually wear those Ovahero dresses, but except the horns. So the Ovahero, they wear the horns. So the horns, they represent the cows that they have. And
Mm-hmm.
you would see when they walk side by side, just like the cows walk, and yeah, so they are premised around cattle and so forth. And then we
Mm-hmm.
have people, so the number people, so those are similar to the there's a lot of click sounds. Those are click sound. So if you are it will be easier for you to speak Kobab because there are a lot of clicks um,
Mm-hmm.
in their language. Yes, and then we also have Botswana people.
Mm.
Yeah, we do have Tswanas in they speak Setswana. Yes, so I think find Tswanas
Mm-hmm.
in Botswana. They're originally from find Tswana in South Africa. So I think it's the similarity that we share. And then language called Silosi in Namibia. That language is basically similar to Isivenda and as well as Zulu. So there are some
Mm-hmm.
similarities in that
Mm-hmm.
languages. So that all comes to us being Africans. We're all
Mm,
part of the same area, but obviously because of the Europeans, we had to be subjected to borders, which is something I think as African people we should advocate against. We should perhaps
mm.
as a discussion for another day. We don't want to be too
For
political.
another day.
And yeah, and the
Okay.
music, yes, for another day. So, and the music, Namibia has adopted the Kwaito music from South Africa. It's similar.
Mm-hmm.
Amapiano from South Africa, it's similar. But I think the original Namibian genre is the Ovirishe.
Mm-hmm.
It comes from the Ovahero people. That is, I think, our original genre. Very, very
Mm-hmm.
crazy music, beautiful, but it's very Namibianized, if we have to say it. It
Mm-hmm.
sounds authentic. It's not South African influence, but it's basically Namibian. And then obviously it's your Lang Aram that is
Mm-hmm.
then that is sang by your busters in
Mm-hmm.
Namibia, and then the Namadamara step. So those are our original genre in Namibia, but Kwaito is quite famous. It's just the same like
Okay.
in South Africa. Yes.
Wow. I can
And
I can imagine that. Yes, I can
yes.
imagine that. Okay, so
Uh-huh.
maybe we have to take a commercial break. When we come back, I would like us to continue with this conversation where you tell us about the food, and then we see how we actually, talk about, other things, marula, and some of the things that are really, really common or similar to what we have here in South Africa. So we're gonna take a commercial break now. To our listeners, don't move at all, because we will come back and continue to unpack, Namibia with our beautiful guest. We take a commercial break. Welcome back, Mandla.
Yes, you know what? This is
Mm,
so interesting and fascinating to just sit and listen to this passionate woman. Remember, to our listeners and our viewers online, you are watching the African Experience with myself, your host, Miss Mandla Aventina Mabunda, and my co-host all the way in Germany, Dr. Shamala Ngwenya. And today we are talking to our beautiful guest, none other than Miss Duminga Ndala, who is a researcher in the Parliament of Namibia at such a young age. And she's also a leader of, the youth element of the LPM party. Now, as we went on a short break, you were busy talking to us about some of the interesting things about Namibia. And now I want us to explore a bit about the food. Is it that different? I didn't see any different. Are there any delicacies in Namibia that are different from us, or is it more or less the same?
Well, I think it's more or less the same, but obviously there will be some difference. I think the most famous delicacy that we have is what we call ombidi. That's traditional spinach, and it's
mm,
eaten by all Namibian nationals.
mhm,
And yeah, that it's an Oshuambo dish. It's prepared. It's a very, very, very delicious spinach, and it's normally eaten on very special occasions such as weddings, childbirth, and so forth. And then the other thing that we have is the traditional brewery that's called Oshikundu in Oshiwambo, and in Damaranama it's called Macheu. So it's obvious it's fermented. I mean, if you have a little bit too much of it, you might be drunk because it went through a fermentation process. So that is what we normally drink on special occasion as well on a daily basis, especially those that are in the villages. So it's brewery and the brewer. Interesting part about it is each and every in Namibia has a different way of really preparing this oshikundu or and thing that have mopani worms. I don't know if you all eat mopani worms, but it's a
Yeah,
very
we
very
do.
famous dish, especially amongst the Bantu.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We seem to have a few issues with Dominga's line, but I'm sure we'll carry on. If you can, move your things, do your magic there, and then you can continue. You know, it's so nice seeing some of our viewers commenting. One Pikam Hlabe Mabunda is saying, I'm loving the education. We are definitely one people. Isn't that
Yes.
beautiful? That is so beautiful. And there's a question here for our guest from Mrs. Mahopa, who is saying the tour guide actually told her that the crime rate is very, very low and that they have no load shedding. Isn't it beautiful? No load shedding in Namibia. Tell us through that. Is there a special political will or appetite for that? How is that low crime rate coming about? Duminga, are you still with us?
I think she's trying to reconnect.
Okay.
Again, something very interesting, Mandla. I said I'm in Germany now, and yesterday I visited. I actually attended a class with my daughter who's studying ethnology, anthropology, and African studies, and one of the subjects that she's learning is Kiswahili. So I went with her. It was quite interesting to see an African from Tanzania who is actually a lecturer in one of the universities here in Cologne teaching people Kiswahili. That was very, very interesting. And the other thing that I picked, then one of a friend who's also an anthropology student, it's planning to go to Namibia for his internship. So I will definitely link him with our guest there. I'm sure he will learn a lot about the culture and the country. Oh, I'm so excited. Dominga, are you still there? You might have to unmute yourself. Yes, are you still there? You have to unmute yourself because we struggle to hear you. But while you are trying to do that, Mandla, I know she also mentioned something about Mopani worms. Oh, I love Mopani worms.
Yeah.
And I also saw that, they also have, a celebration of Marula, like the Marula celebration. So there are definitely some similarities with what we have here in South Africa, and we are one people, as Mr. Mabunda is saying there.
Yeah.
Pika saying, we are definitely one people. We definitely are one people.
Yes, no, you know what? Even when you walk through the streets of Windhoek, it doesn't feel like you are. It almost feels like you're in what, like your Krugersdorp or some town like that in South Africa. It doesn't really feel like you're outside of South Africa. So we are so similar in so many ways. And I cannot wait for her to come back and share more with us. And I see people are excited. They want to go and see Namibia for themselves. And you know
Yes.
what? We welcome all the remarks and all the comments. I mean, from our viewers online, watching us on Facebook Live and some are on YouTube. And we please thank you and we ask you that you subscribe to Bold Moves Radio so that next time when you want to hear us, it's no longer an issue of downloading anything. You just go straight to our YouTube channel and then you can get us nice and clear. There you are able to see all the pictures and all other things that happen with the soul. And again, just to remind you, you are on the African Experience with myself, Mandla Aventina Mabunda, and my co-host Dr. HLAMI, and we are talking to Miss Duminga Ndala, who is talking to us about Namibia. And I think she is back. Are you back, Miss Ndala? Okay, you know, Dr. Hlami, Duminga is so interesting with the work that she's doing for such a young age. She is doing a lot in the parliament. I don't see someone like her because she's tiny in her frame. I don't see her walking in the corridors of parliament and, proposing all these new things like, can I change this ruling of saying you need to have experience, and it takes some sort of brevity for someone to do.
Yes.
And I wanted her, to talk
She's
to us
back.
and to
I
advise.
think she's back. Let's
Oh,
try her again.
are you back? Are you back, Domingo? We can see you, but we cannot hear you still. Okay, it
Okay.
seems like we cannot hear her
Yeah.
still.
Yeah,
But
no,
yeah,
this technology is so jealous about, the time that we are spending with, Dominga. I just love her passion.
yeah.
You know, like I said, that I could just listen to her again and again and again. And when somebody speaks from the heart, this is exactly what I pick. She speaks from the heart. You can see that she believes in what she's actually saying. Miss Domingo, are you back? We only have some few minutes to go. We still want to hear your voice again.
Yeah, we can see you, but we are struggling to hear you. But anyway, you know what? My take from this talk is that we need more young people in critical positions, number one, because indeed they are the leaders of tomorrow. We need passion. If we can have passion, you have solved, half of the problems, because the passion will draw people into your cause, the cause that you are behind. Look, now I'm very interested in someone who's researching for parliament. I didn't
I
even know
know.
they had researchers now because of her passion.
Yep.
I'm more interested. I'm even keen to know who are researchers here because I don't have any idea who our researchers are.
Yeah.
But now it took Duminga in Namibia to talk to us about that, and that is my take home from this show.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's not only about, young people. The fact that she's a woman. The fact that she's a woman and she's so powerful. Oh, I just love it. I'm sure if I was in Namibia, I was gonna join the party. From hearing how she actually presents herself and how she's so passionate about and believing in what she talks about. Are you there just to give us, your last shot? Oh, this technology is so jealous, I'm telling you. It is so jealous because all of a sudden, we can't hear her anymore.
Yeah.
Mandla, yes,
Yes.
over to you.
You know what? It would have been lovely to hear her parting shots, but anyway, it was a lovely, lovely, lovely show. And I see here
We
she's
could try.
also on
Yeah.
the phone. Are
Okay,
we
let's give it a
able
try.
to use that? At least if you can give us your parting shots and a message to the youth who would like to follow on your footsteps.
Mhm.
Oh wow, that was amazing. But you know what? On that note, I think we had a beautiful show. Thank you so much to our beautiful guest, all the way from Namibia, Miss Duminga Ndala. And trust me, when Dr. HLAMI says she'll take you up on that offer of visiting Namibia, trust me, it will happen. So be prepared. And it was lovely to have you back, my co host. And it was lovely to see you after missing you the last show. And on that note, I think that is how I'm going to end. And if you have your last parting shots, you can just go for it, Doc.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is.
Streaming 24/7.
24/7.
Bold Moves Radio.
Bold Moves Radio.
Afrika, nakupenda sana. Oh, Afrika, nakupenda sana.